My goodness, we are here. It is podcast. Well, actually, it's Friday. It's not Thursday.
It's time to get vertically unstable.
I mean, it is. It is the Vertically Unstable podcast where you think you've got your shit together and surprise, everything below you is a house of cards.
Do you know what's funny, Kelly? I just realized that I'm on the 30th floor, so I'm really vertically unstable today.
You're super vertically unstable. And you had to do your favorite thing in the world, fly to get there. Another
It's my
flight.
favorite thing. Although I
Oh
have
my
to tell
God.
after taking, so this episode is spring break and what we did, right? So we're going to talk about spring break. But after flying with two small children laying on me for more than 2 days, I was good on this flight. I was like, woo, I can move my arms.
You're such a, yeah.
Like,
You don't even need to be in business. You're like, this economy seat feels huge.
It's massive. I feel so tiny.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I'm in Chicago today, so the Windy City, and I'm 30 floors up. And this morning it started lightning a little bit, and I was like, oh no, we're not having a thunderstorm with me 30 floors up and my afraid of heights. No.
So, okay, so now we have a fear of heights and a fear of flying. Okay, that's fine.
They go together, Kelly. I have bungee jumps though.
Oh, see, okay. I'll tell you a funny story, and we can file this one under things as a leader you should probably not surprise people with for $200, Alex. And years ago, we were launching a new product. And in medicine, there's like indications, right? It's like who is allowed to have this drug or take this product or whatever. And so that's called an indication. And the indication was for intermediate risk. So it was measuring how likely you would have a risk if you were having surgery. And so it's called intermediate risk. And I thought, oh, what would be fun is if we do a team building activity that's of intermediate risk. Like it won't kill us, but it's not exactly perfect. And so I love surprises. And I was like, okay, I'm going to surprise my team with an amazing intermediate risk activity. So
Is there such a thing?
Yes. We are in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And you can walk on the outside of the CN Tower. Way up if you Google the image of the CN Tower on the big old ball. And I don't
sweating
know,
now.
I think maybe you're 1,000 feet up. Like I'd have to look it up. Anyways, I'm like, this is going to be amazing. They're going to love it. And you have to prepay. So I prepaid for 12 people to do the edge walk on the CN Tower. And I tell nobody. And so we rent this great party bus and we drive to the CN Tower and everybody's having, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. What are we doing? When we get to the base of the CN Tower, there's enough of them that know the city that are like, wait a minute, the fuck are we doing? Are we doing the edge walk? And I'm like, yes, it's going to be great. And they're like, hey, that's a hard pass.
Kelly, I would have had a panic attack right then and there.
Well, I underestimated the extreme fear of heights that many of my teammates would always have, and this would not be something they would want to do. So net, 6 of us went. I burned 6 entry tickets, and 6 of us went. And for me, it was awesome, but I was just like, shit, I forgot about how terrifying heights is for some people.
Yeah.
That was a myth.
Well, that was a 50-50 shot. I mean, you got the 50-50.
Exactly.
It took a 50-50 shot. You made your numbers. I mean, I think.
I did. Except that I burned 50.
Yeah, there's that. I am afraid of heights, but I will do things that I'm afraid of all of the time. So if there's like a great view or something, while I might need a Xanax to go, I'm going to freaking go. Right. I was in New Zealand with my friend years ago, and New Zealand is where bungee jumping was invented. And she was actually the morning the death of her grandfather, who was like her father. And so I was trying to like snap her out of it. No pun intended. Snap. So I was like, let's bungee jump. And we did over a river, and it was terrifying and awful. And I'll never do it again. But I did it. So I also climbed the Sydney Bridge. So I say I'm afraid of heights, I guess, but looking straight down is not okay. Like doing something, or I don't know, the straight down thing just scares the shit out of me. I'm sorry, it does. I like roller coasters, but anything that goes straight up and straight down, I'm not doing it. Just not
doing it. Do you know what I love though? I feel like most people do extreme activities on holidays in for the most part, countries where one, safety protocols are minimal, and two, healthcare is sketchy. And so
Oh my
we
God.
were in Costa Rica. We were in Costa Rica with the kids, and we went zip lining through the forest. And the tree that you stopped between the trees, where you stopped, the way you stopped, it was like an old mattress tied to the tree with rope. I feel, and here's, I'm like, strap my 12-year-old boys on this. What could possibly go wrong? I'm thinking, why do we do these things?
I
If
don't
you did
know.
that
I
in
don't
North
know.
America, can you imagine if you went to Six Flags with your kids to tree drop zip line and it was a fucking old beat up mattress and a rope? You'd be like, no, I'm not doing it.
I'm scared on roller coasters.
Yeah.
Speaking of calculated risk or intermediate risk, so I
Yeah.
took high risk um and over spring break. I took my two children, one is 6 and the other is 10, to Spain for 10 days. For 10
Okay.
days.
Let's be
That,
clear, though. This was not a high risk of death. This was a high risk of you losing your shit.
well, I mean, we all had meltdowns, okay? We all had meltdowns. Many, but it was fun. I mean, we were there for my daughter's plays premier soccer, and her soccer club sponsored not sponsored a trip because you paid for it. I mean, they don't do anything for free, but they had a trip to Spain to do like a soccer tour. So you got to go to the Real Madrid stadium and you got to like sit where the players sit, and they also played some friendly games. Well, we get over there, and guess what? Presley's the only girl on the team. So then, yeah, I know, what a miss, right?
Well, I mean, yes and no. How did Presley feel about it?
Well, she was petrified. She was like, "Mom, I'm the only girl." Actual F. It
Mm.
finds this out after she did not sleep a single second on the flight over. My son, knocked out, like gone. But Presley, no. And so she was really just having a rough day anyways. But
Oh, yeah.
it was awesome because we had the first game was against 14-year-old boys. And in Spain, soccer is like life.
Life.
It is
Yeah.
life. And sweet Presley gets out in the field and she's like, "I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous." And she gets out there. I was like, "Hey, kid, you know what? I'll give you $20 for a goal or an assist," because they have her playing forward. So she gets out for the
Nice.
first game, and she was the only one to score a goal. And she was playing 14-year-old boys. So she's 10, playing on a team with 12 to 17-year-old boys. She's the only girl and she's the youngest on the field. And it only
Nice.
took a guy to like check her once for her little face to go from like big eyes to, "All right, fuck you. Here we go. You ready? Let's roll." So it was awesome. Great time. The people were amazing. Ate more Italian food than Spanish food because my kids were not digging the Mediterranean vibe. So I went to every single Italian restaurant, maybe in all of Spain.
I was just going to ask because the other week when we were talking, you said you were concerned what Colton would eat while you were in Spain because he's like on a white starch diet only with chicken nuggets. It was a pasta experience in Spain.
Well, it was pasta. We had a lot of pasta, but also, so Colton will eat strawberries, cucumbers, broccoli, and this kid ate like not. I mean, he literally ate bread. He would eat the French
Mm.
bread that was served. And then one night at dinner, so we had dinner with the team at the hotel. So we went to Madrid and Barcelona and then various places right outside, but we only had hotels in those two places. We took a bullet train, which was fantastic. Anywho's, one night they're at the hotel, they're setting up dinner for someone else, and there's a whole bowl of sliced cucumbers. Colton goes over there and just takes the fucking bowl. He's
Bull.
like, "These are mine." And he just sat there and he ate them as fast as he could before someone took those damn cucumbers from him. I'm like, "Okay, well, there's your fiber for the month." Is there fiber in
Yeah.
cucumbers?
I
I
think
guess
in
there.
the skin. In the skin, yes. I think that's what holds it together. Oh my God. I'm sure he was just like, they did this just for me. I'm curious how much of you was hoping Brad Pitt was on the bullet train? You're like, please be part two of this movie.
I am not a fan of Brad Pitt. I don't think he's hot. George Clooney all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. So I did watch that Wolf movie or whatever on the plane.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
on the plane, have you seen it? I mean, you wouldn't remember if you'd seen it,
Yes.
but you think you've
Well,
seen it?
I know I've watched it. I can't tell you
I
anything
don't.
about it, except I know the one scene they're on a train and he pretends to grab a gun and he gives them the finger. But I mean, I know that I've watched it. Well, I'm curious. What is it about George Clooney that's hotter than Brad Pitt?
I think it's a sexiness. I think that I've known Brad for too long, right? I knew him when he was like barely a boy in Thelma and Louise. And he just
Mm,
a little bit to me. There's something more feminine about him, but George is like super suave. So, George, all day, every day, twice on Sunday.
I mean, I wouldn't say no to either of them. I'm not lying.
I'd
But
kick either of them out of bed for eating crackers.
yeah, and I'm pretty sure that Brad Pitt smells like patchouli, but he's definitely one of those guys that gets more handsome as he gets older, and I wonder if we didn't see George Clooney in his younger years as much as we saw Brad Pitt in his younger years, and so we've seen more of the more attractive George Clooney. My girlfriend was covering some operation cases in Cedar-Sinai Hospital, and she was on the elevator with Brad Pitt
Shut your
and
face.
one other human, and she's
Did she
texting
touch
me,
him?
"This is what I asked." She texted me, you're never gonna guess who's on the elevator with me," and I'm like, "Who?" And she said, "Brad Pitt," and I'm like, "Touch him. Can you touch him? Or just press the stop emergency stop button."
Would have hit the
What does
emergency.
he smell like? Oh, come on. You
Can you
may
grab
think
one of
George
his
Clooney's
hairs?
just can you just pet him ever so slightly?
Just gently pet him, please.
I would
We sound
I
like
would
we're like,
I know.
did you
Pretty sure
call him?
I'm pretty sure if this was a podcast of two men talking about a woman, we'd be canceled.
Did you grab his ass?
You can't talk like that.
So, talk to me about your spring break. I like literally we haven't chatted. So what's up?
I
What are you doing?
know. We did. My husband and my dog and I did a road trip to Moab in Utah. And so that is from here where we live, probably 10-ish, 11-ish hours. And you can go a couple of different ways through Vegas and then or down into Flagstaff and blah, blah. Your face is like, no, thank you.
Why would you be in the
Listen.
car for 10 hours? I had to be on a
Well,
plane. The flight
yeah,
out to Madrid was
you
10
could.
hours. Shoot me.
There's a Yeah, sure, but there's a
That's
lot
not
of cool stuff. There's a lot of cool stuff in between. So we do it for the road tripping and the view, and the dog can come with us, and the dog loves it. So we took our sweet time and did 2 days out, and then we did 2 days back. So my husband is a rock nerd. He loves all the
mercy.
rocks, and he wants to take every cutout in the road to stop and look at a rock. And I'm like, it's going to take 700 years to get here at this pace if we stop for every beautiful rock. And my cousin is in the same camp, and one of my besties is in the same camp. And it was like, rocks. Oh my God, it's going to be so beautiful. And I'm like, whatever. I mean, I love you. I'll take this trip with you. Well, I'm just going to say it was fucking beautiful. Like you go
Oh, love
and
that.
it would you go and it is like it actually looks like Disney parks. Like it looks fake. Like did somebody from Disneyland just plant this stuff in the middle of the desert in Utah and say that like it happened 100 million years ago. What I learned is that Disney, where they do those things like rocks, has
They
done a
do.
bang up job. They do. They did. Don't talk about poo. Christy gets
Okay.
weird about it. But when they fake it in like Disneyland, they did a bang up job because it looks just like the real thing. So much so that the real thing looks like
Looks
fucking
fake.
fake Disney. Yeah.
It's amazing.
So it was so good. And so on our way back, we went through the Grand Canyon. So we stopped there and I know as much as I would say I'm not a rock nerd, on day one, I took 188 pictures of rocks.
Wow. That's
There were
impressive.
just There's so many that are just like, how is this real life and America? Well done. Like, whew, beautiful. Like, beautiful.
So you know, they were commissioned.
They were commissioned.
We can
Please, could
them.
you throw a couple of arches in the middle? The arches are amazing in the middle. And there were some kids on the trail who were probably maybe Colton's age. These two little twin girls, smart as a whip. I'm thinking,
Is
there's
a
no
whip smart?
fucking I don't I don't know.
Like,
I know if it knows
but
what to hit, I guess. I just thought you couldn't pay me to take my kids on this kind of holiday. Let's go walk through the fucking rocks. No, thank you. These girls, whoo, She was like, I think that's the southern arch because the sun is over there and it's the middle of the afternoon. And so the sun would set here, which would be west. So that's the southern arch. That must be the northern arch. Let's go this way. And you know me in directions. I was like, I'm going to follow you, little girl.
You go. Lead us all to the promised land, please.
Lead us to the promised land, you tiny little girl in your Cotopaxi outfit. And then there was another, the funniest line. Oh my God. There's a dad and his son. And again, the son's probably 7. And they're walking back out as we're walking into this beautiful canyon view. And the dad is like, what did you think? And the boy is like, Dad, they're just rocks. I could see rocks anywhere. Andrew and I start laughing. And we just look at the dad.
So, speaking of ungrateful children.
Yes. Tell me more.
God. So, first of all, I am a total art and cultural nerd. Right? I could go to an art museum or a church and spend the whole flippin' day just learning tidbits about, oh, that paintbrush did this, and there was a reason for this, and da da da. So when I go to Europe, I usually see a lot of art, and as one does in Europe, right? And churches.
Yeah.
Everywhere in Europe. I mean, every 2 steps, there's like this most beautiful basilica you've ever seen in your life. So I booked tours. Forgetting that I had a little boy, a 10-year-old. Like, I guess I just thought, like, this is really cool. We went and toured the Royal Palace, and Colton's got his headset on, and we're following a tour guide, and I'm like, don't touch anything. And he's like, Mom, I can't do 2,000 rooms, because she said it had 2,000 rooms in it, and so the poor kid thought we were the whole palace. Presley,
I mean,
island, and I'm like, what is the matter? And she's like, it's inappropriate, Mom. And I was like, what? This is amazing. I was like, everyone's naked in the art. Like, all the statues.
I was like, what were you doing that Presley's calling you out? Oh, the art.
No, but all the art, like there's statues and they show bosoms and bottoms and penises, and she's like, this is really inappropriate. So bless my kid. They got through many churches. They got through the Royal Palace. Colton accidentally knocked over. So in the Royal Palace in Madrid, they actually still use it. So they'll like take down all of the guard rails and stuff and have a state dinner there. I don't know if it's a state dinner. I don't know what it's called in whatever. So Colton, of course, runs straight into one, backs into it. It slams down, right? And this woman's like, I'm like, he's like, Mom, I'm sorry. And I was like, hey, it's okay. It's like, she's like, we have got to get out of here. We have got to get out of here. He's going to break something, Mom. And Colton's like, because there's like guards everywhere. And I'm like, no one's arresting you, sweet boy. Which really wasn't the part that was ungrateful. A few times, Presley was like, if I don't get Starbucks, I'm going to lose my mind. And I'm like, who are you, kid?
Like, did they even have Starbucks?
Starbucks everywhere. I mean, it's infiltrated everywhere. It's coffee, but sorry, Starbucks. Don't like your coffee. Yeah, it's not good. I'm like, you're in Spain. Why go to Starbucks? So Starbucks, McDonald's, give you a couple trips to McDonald's. Like, I was like, these kids. And I wanted Presley to try paella, and she was not having it. And I was just like, you're so ungrateful. Just take one bite of culture, kid.
Yeah. Eat your culture and shut your mouth.
Eat your culture, damn it. So I'm gonna have to go back to Spain because I didn't really get to do the Christy version of Spain. I got to do the Bolton tour, which, you know, there was a meltdown in, what is it called? It's that huge, it's the one Gaudi ended up finally designing. It's a cathedral. It's in Barcelona. It's like Sagrada Familia. I'm terrible with other languages. I can't even speak English. So, but have you heard of this one? You know what I'm talking about?
No, and I'm thinking to myself, when you book that trip, remind me to be sick that day because I don't. I'll stay home with.
Really, you don't like to go through museums and churches? Really?
No. Listen, for what? Reminding you that geography and history were my 2 least favorite classes in school. It's like, oh, this was this war of the blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, whatever.
They teach it wrong. It's about the stories. It's about the stories. It's not about the dates. It's about the stories. Anyways.
Well, they're usually about death and sex. And so maybe if they told them better, I would be into it. But yeah, but if you need someone to go on holiday and do like patio surfing and people watching and maybe shopping, I'm your girl.
Kelly, no. I have types of vacation. One where I lay on the beach, do absolutely nothing. And I mean,
Then
absolutely nothing.
bring me to that
But
one.
okay, I'll call you for that one, but not for
Bring me to
my
that one.
European vacation. Okay, I know you are not gonna remember this because you don't remember movies, but do you remember Chevy Chase's National Lampoon's European Vacation?
You're
Kelly,
just listen. I mean,
you're
do I
so
remember the
un-American. By the way, wait, you are un-American.
Yes,
You're
yes,
Canadian.
I am actually.
It's un-American. It's un-American.
Totally, totally un-American.
Presley was so cute by the end of the trip, but she was like, "Hey, mom, I loved Spain and I had such a great time, but I'm ready to go home." And I was like, "Same, sis, same." Because I'm not using my kids' hands that much. You know, I shuttle them into the car, but like you're walking around Madrid, like Colton's gonna dart out and get hit by a car. So I like have a death grip on both of my children for most of the trip. I'm sure they felt really free.
Well, it's hard when it's 2 against 1, right? If you're outnumbered by your kids, because you're, like, trying to head on a swivel, you also don't know where you are, so you're trying to make sure that everybody's safe and you got 2 other humans. That's a lot. That's a little exhausting, so good for
We're
you.
tired. And so we landed late on Sunday, and then I had to turn around yesterday and come to Chicago for work. So I'm feeling a bit tired.
You must be tired, and you arrived in Chicago last night?
Yeah,
Yes,
in the
and
afternoonish,
you're
but yeah,
yeah, okay, so you don't know what time zone you're in. Your body's like,
I don't
"What
even
day is this?"
well, yeah, I don't like my body's I'm an idiot. Like been having a really hard time with coherent sentences and it had nothing to do with the progressive cocktails from last night, which by the way, did you know that's a thing? I thought it was a joke.
I've heard of progressive dinners, but not progressive cocktails, but I'm
Yeah,
intrigued. Tell me more.
you go to this place and they have a bunch of different cocktails and you pick like 3 to 5 depending on which package you purchased.
Mhm.
They bring them to you in a certain order and they progressively get stronger.
Just like, I dig it, but I'm wondering.
Oh, no, they because then you're mixing like rum and tequila and like
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
Yeah,
when
this
I
is the
was young,
problem.
okay, but like I'm there, I feel kind of out of my body before I even had a single cocktail because I'm jet lagged. I've been on too many planes, my equilibrium's off. And I was like, now we're gonna throw 3 different or 4 different kinds of alcohol into my system and slosh it around my stomach. You know what that sounds like? Sounds like so I took some Pepsid. I was like, I'm gonna take some Pepsid
Yeah,
before I even start the journey.
it sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Dun, dun,
Well, you
dun.
made it. Last show I was at, no, a year or so ago, we went to a couple of tasting dinners with our partners, and it was a fun. We busted our ass to get here, so let's have some fun. And there's always a wine pairing with every part of dinner. So there was like a 10-course meal and 10 different wines. And at some point, I'm just like, I realize this is sour grapes. I hear it as I'm saying it, but I was just like, I don't want any more wine and I'm too full of this caviar laden food. So I don't know how people do it. I know what that sounds like.
Well, it's funny because I was actually thinking like this week as I'm bitching about how tired I am, I'm like, Christy, you just got back from Spain. And you're like bitching about Spain and about being tired. And first of all, I love Spain. It was amazing. I would have loved to eat at all the great restaurants. My kids suck. I'll have to come back and eat all the food because we went to one really nice lunch and it was hell. Because Colton's like,
Yeah.
I'm not eating it, whatever. I was like, it's ham, bud. It's ham. It's Spanish ham. He's like, I was like, you like ham? He's like, I want turkey. Great. There's no turkey here, buddy. No turkey here.
Oh, man.
Man, but it was fun. I feel bad when I bitch about like bougie things like progressive cocktails and I can't mix that types of alcohol together, at least, not since college or maybe, I don't know, maybe into my 30s, but in my 40s, I'm like, you cannot put those things together anymore. You get heartburn. It's terrible. And then you're supposed to go out
It's
for dinner.
terrible. And then we both travel a lot for our respective roles, right? And I sit on one side, which is the client side, you sit on the agency side, and 9 times out of 10 we're together at these events because we worked on whatever it was that we're at the event for. And then there's another layer of people and that's the customer. And sometimes those are the people at dinner with you too, the physicians or whoever your customer is. So while I appreciate that I'm very fortunate to have done so much travel as a result of my work, when folks are like, "You're so lucky you get to travel for work," I am confident they've never done it because it is exhausting. You go hardcore the minute you touch down, and sometimes I've been on flights with my customers. So I am on top of, you are on your game the minute you got on the plane, which is exhausting. and you were just on, like, you're just like, "Hey, everybody." You don't get to be like, bleh. You have to be up and fun and happy, and then you're eating dinner, and it's always late. It's like 10 at night, and then you have to have dessert, and yes, you have cocktails, and I know this sounds terrible, but you're just like, "I just wanna have a bowl of cereal in my bed and close my eyes before 10." And then you gotta
Yes.
get up at 6 in the morning because the show fucking starts at 7, and then you gotta go, and 7 might be 4 o'clock your time, and you're just like,
And you don't know
"Man,
where you are,
good." Yeah, and then you
and you
go to
can't wear
like 10 at
tennis shoes.
night.
You walk 100 miles in a day.
You're in dress shoes, and you're bloated, and you haven't pooped in 5 days, and
Whoa.
sometimes, you go, and then you take the very next flight home, so you haven't even stopped. You get home, and you're like, "Oh my god." So,
And
I
you're
would go to Spain for work. I would go to Spain for work and it'd be like, "Oh my god, that was so great. What did you see?" I saw the airport, I saw the hotel, I saw a conference room and 2 restaurants. I saw fucking nothing. Like, I'm exhausted.
nothing. I saw nothing at all. Actually,
That's
so when I
work travel.
with international work travel though, I always take like an extra day. I try to if I can
Yeah.
because
I
it's like,
I
okay,
I
go ahead.
You do it. I was
Well,
just
I
gonna say,
have to go
I
back
try
to your
in my
about
mind.
pooping in days. So
Yeah.
my friend, okay, my business partner, her and I came to Chicago. We met at the airport. She lives in Texas. She sends me a text. I hate airports. I hate baggage claim and I hate waiting for things. So I don't usually check my bag unless I absolutely freaking have to. Okay, and
Right.
I mean, I have vacuum suckers for my clothes. Like I have these bags that
Yeah.
like plug in and it like takes all the air out and shrinks everything to this big. And my suitcase is super heavy, but if it's like
Yeah. But it
20 days
fits in the overhead, so let's go.
fits in the overhead, you can shove it. So she texts me and she's like, "Hey, I just have to check my bag because I don't think my hair product because it started with my hair product and it went from there." And I was like,
Nope.
"Mother of girl."
Get your shit together,
Anyway,
friend.
go-
What the
I
fuck
was
is
like,
your hair?
I
What's with your hair?
like
Figure it out.
rolling the eyes, right? Just like, are you kidding me? Well, we get here and like she packs like non-travel size now. She's like, "Well, I just thought," she had this bottle of, is it Miralax? It's like this freaking big. It's not even just a normal bottle. It's like the Costco size.
No, that's just silly. But I think I checked luggage to work trips like the first year that I traveled. And at the time I was traveling a ton with male colleagues and none of them check a bag. And they would relentlessly, tease me for fuck, we gotta wait for Kelly's fucking luggage. And so I vowed to never check a bag. And unless I'm going on holiday where I pack like a small toddler and I just throw everything in because I don't want to think about it. And magically I think I'm going to change my clothes a lot more than I ever do. I'll check then. But for work, nah, never. I
Everything's black.
refuse.
Everything's
Yeah.
black or white. It all
Yeah.
matches. It all
All
together.
matches, interchanges. And I
Absolutely.
don't know about you, but I kind of like plan my outfits in a reverse order of stretchiness so that the very first day is your tightest clothes because you are not going to have a good poop. And I know you don't like to talk about this, but you're not going to have a good poop on that trip. And so by day 4 or 5, you do not want a tight waistband. You want a stretchy waistband.
You should see a doctor because I'm okay. Because actually, like all the freaking food you eat, all the food, it's lots of food. Lots of food. Like I just want to go home and like have some chili mac and call it good.
That just makes it worse for me. I think what it is maybe the coffee. I think it's maybe the coffee because your body gets used to that morning coffee from home, and then you go on the road, and I'm like,
And you have to have
"Oh, I'm
Star
gonna die. I'm gonna die." I have to have like or hotel room coffee, like that tiny little Keurig machine. Yeah.
You should never
Anyways,
use them. You ever seen the black lights on those things? They're cesspools of funk, just so you know.
I just drank that for 5 days in like Utah hotels.
Well, it's Utah. Everything's clean in Utah. It's
The funk I drank.
fine. The funk I drank. I drank funk out of the funk. Oh gosh. Oh my gosh.
It was
It's scary.
and listen, I had, my husband we listened to our podcast one of the days of our driving. Yeah, Andrew was
And
like,
what do
"Hey,
you
why don't
think?
we" he left because anytime I brought him up, I think he was like, "Oh, here we go. She's gonna talk shit about me." And then he was like, "Oh, yeah, that was actually kind of funny." So I'm like, "Oh, there you go." But I will tell you one podcast we listened to that you have to listen to this episode. The Armchair Expert, it's Dax Shepard's
Huh?
podcast, and he has
Yep.
another girl, Monica. They have an episode with Mary Claire Haver on it. She's the menopause doctor. And she talks menopause for about an hour. And she breaks the shit down. The studies on hormone replacement therapy, all of the different signs and symptoms that people can't connect, the problems with physician training. So she takes a very objective view on all of the therapies, on physicians, from a physician's point of view, why they are like they are. She didn't even really understand how to approach it until she herself was in perimenopause. And then she was like, holy fuck. It was so good. Highly recommend listening.
I'm gonna have to check that out. Um, things that have been happening to me lately in Spain and here. So the rooms were hot in Spain and there was no AC
Okay.
and there
And
was no
European
fans.
it's never great. Not like
It's
the
not real.
US. Yeah.
It's yeah, no, you don't there's nowhere that
There's
like
there's
well,
tiny mice in there
are
going,
out so
yeah.
has everyone cooled off yet?
You feel good?
So Spain had I'm notorious for not checking the weather before I go places, which I know sounds like just a stupid thing to do, and someone who travels like I travel should do this. Like automatically you check the weather. Did Christy check the weather? No. Is it Spain spring break? Yes. So I print off they had a packing list, which I was like, this is genius. Printed off the packing list for each kid. Went through. It's like shorts, this, da da da. Spain was cold. It was cold and rainy. It was having a bout of Irish temperament. And
So
so
you pack for warm and you got cold.
I did. So I had to buy my
Mm.
kid. So my kids have now decked out in the Real Madrid and whatever the football
Oh no.
place in Barcelona is, and that stuff is not cheap. Not cheap.
Well, but let's face it. If you had gone,
And then
even
I was
if you had packed the right if you had packed the right clothes, you were still going to end up buying that stuff because the kids would have been like, I need a jersey, I need a hoodie, I need a sweatshirt. It's just life. They're like, I need it.
well,
You would have
they're
done it.
just remember they're narcissists and that's normal. Like, I was like, they're crazy. These kids are insane.
Well,
Why?
as long as they had checked bags, so you could fit it all on the way back home. It's better than
Well,
having to check out half your stuff.
speaking of, I think I may have accidentally left Colton some stuffed animals in Spain. We had to
You pluralize that. All of them?
There's 2 no, but he has 2 that are his favorite that he got for his birthday. One from his twins that love him, and it's a little
I know.
raccoon or a fox. I don't even know. It's like this big and it's brown. And then he had a baby
Okay.
Yoda he also got for his birthday, and he's looking for them now, and I'm like, shit.
Damn.
There's
Is it possible?
something
Did he leave them on the plane maybe though?
I don't know. I mean, our whole way back was like planes, trains, and automobiles. That's a movie, Kelly. You should watch it if you haven't. But anyways, it was a disaster. So we were supposed to go I booked round trip to Madrid, but like missed the part of the itinerary that you had to fly back from Barcelona to Madrid and then from Madrid to
Mm.
Chicago, Kansas City. So, like the week before, the tour guide was like, "Hey, Christy, can you send me your itinerary for your flight to from Barcelona to Madrid?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? Barcelona to Madrid? We took the bullet train." He's like, "Yeah, but on the way home, you have to take a." So I had to book a flight. So we go to Barcelona, and I have each kid has their own travel, like a small bag, and I have a massive suitcase, and then we've also got soccer bags and all kinds of shit. So I'm just like teetering. I actually bruised my wrist carrying everything. Like there was a bruise from carrying all these bags on my arm.
Dug into your arm.
So we have to leave the hotel at like 4:15 in the morning, some absurd time. We leave the hotel, we fly to Madrid, and they're like, "Hey, you have to go, through customs, but you have to like leave the airport and you have to go to this other terminal." And I don't
Oh
even know.
God.
For 2.5 hours, my kids and I were either standing in line or moving from. Took a bus, a train. I'm like, Presty's like, "Mom, I think they're taking us away from the airport." I was like, "It's fine, Presty. Look, you see those letters up there? That means we're eventually going to get there." And then I'm just standing
Oh.
I thought, we're the next stop, and finally this guy's like, "You have to get out! It's the final stop!" I'm like, "Well, what? Where are we going now?" So we show up to the gate where everyone else is, right? And we're like running. We're running.
Yeah.
Like Presley's freaking out. We're not gonna get to go home. And Colton's like, I want my iPad. I'm like, shut up. It was terrible, Kelly. It was terrible. Like the way home was bad. Like I about lost my mind. I was like, okay, we're gonna get on the plane. Everyone's gonna sleep. You understand? No talking.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't touch me.
Disgusting. It was disgusting. So it did rain in Spain, mainly in the plane.
Mainly in the plane. Oh man. Well, I mean, you did it. You checked the box. You survived it. Built some memories.
Well, actually, I did some research on the way home to justify going to Spain, and apparently,
Okay.
travel for kids 6 and 10 is like speed for your brain growth because it's just so. And so apparently, their gray matter gets like super expanded.
And you filled it with naked busts. Well done, you. European art and nudity.
Nudity. Here's some. Colton was so funny though. We went to all these churches, and Presley like turned into like the devil when we went into church, and Colton's like genuflecting at every single altar all along the side, and Presley's like, "This is annoying, Colton. Stop trying to be mom's favorite." And I'm like, "Shut up." Right now, there's no favorites. I equally dislike both of
Yes. I've always said, I think every family has that where kids are like, you like this one better, you like that one better. My children have always said that. And I have always said to them, I am equally mean to all of you. I will not cop to any favoritism. I will, however, reply with equal meanness to all of you. And back to your planes, trains, and automobiles reference. I'm pretty sure that was John Candy, maybe was in that movie. And is the line not, those aren't pillows? Is it that?
it. It is that is one of the lines.
Okay. That's all I know. I need 2 points for that.
Rain stays mainly in the plane. That's my favorite.
Yes.
The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plains. Don't you remember this, Henry Higgins? Oh my God. Okay. We can never
I
go
think
together.
I think that our podcast this podcast should change into like a drinking game where every time you say to me, "Don't you remember that?" you have to take a shot. You will be drunk by the end of every podcast.
I didn't know that you were a savage.
I am like 10-second Tom, and I get to relive it with just as much glee and joy the second time. This disability of mine is lovely. I have to say one other thing I did on my March break. And it goes back to you doing things that scare you when you have fear of heights. And it was yesterday. I went to a cardio dance fitness class. So Zumba 2.0 kind of thing, where you listen to funky music and they have routines. If you think I can't remember movie lines, I definitely can't remember dance routines. However, I do have 2 children who did competitive dance. And so somewhere genetically, there is an ability to memorize shit. Now, these same children couldn't remember to clean their rooms and flush a fucking toilet, but they could remember like 13 different dance routines. No problemo. Anyways, I digress. I went into this class, had no idea which building it was in, and there was a woman coming out of a car who was in athleisure about my age, and I thought, I'm just going to ask her. And I said, hey, excuse me, any chance you're going into the dance class? And she said, oh, of course. Yes, I am. I'm Megan. It's nice to meet you. So she said, yeah, come on in. I'll show you how to get in the side door. So we're walking and talking, and she's like, it's your first class. I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh, you're going to love it. I've been doing this class for 2 years. And so I go in and she introduces me to everybody that's there, the instructor. Everybody is probably 40 and up, maybe 35 and up. It was the funnest goddamn class I have ever done. I was shit at it. But the vibe was so positive and high energy. And when we would take breaks in between songs, people are high-fiving. Other people from across the class are coming over to me and saying, oh, you did a great job. I could see you in the mirror. You were getting it there. Like, I had such a great time. I'm like, that was the best thing I could have done. So sometimes scary things end up being awesome things. So a big thank you to Megan. I told her about this podcast. She's like, I'm going to follow your podcast and follow me on Instagram. She reached out and made my day, and all that class was so good. The instructor, Juliet, was awesome. And I'm just like, I am definitely coming back to this class. It was so fun. And I still will be shit at it.
But I'll bet you burned some calories.
Oh, yeah, Megan actually had her Apple Watch on. I don't wear mine anymore, but she had hers on. It was like 7,000 steps and 400 calories. I was so sweaty. I was like, there was one whole song where we were in a deep squat, and I'm like, this is a damn long song. When are we coming out of this song? My booty will thank me. Oh, just not today. And then when you get back next week, April Fools, you got to go back to work. Tuesday. I think Tuesday is the 1st of April. April Fool's Day. We're a new month. We've rolled through the first quarter of this year. Thank fucking God. 2025 has been a bit of a bitch, so let's get this first quarter over with.
Didn't we say that, like, I think it's Q1 we got to leave in the dust. I think it's all,
It's all upwards and onwards and upwards from Q2 onwards.
but not like straight upwards. It's more like, hey, we've got
Not like a hard time.
not a hard time. Okay, not we're not climbing uphill. Oh my gosh, I
Yeah,
have
no.
one other thing, and this is actually funny. Gowdy also did a park, and it kind of looks like gingerbread houses. And so I decide that we are going to this damn park. It's called Park Guell because I cannot pronounce it properly and I don't want anyone making fun of me for it. So, anywho, so I traditionally book like the skip the line tour because I hate lines. I hate them. I don't like to wait in them. They're not fun for me. I know they're not fun for anyone, but I loathe them. So I usually book ahead. Well, this day I didn't. So we climb up, and this is like on a hill, a very steep hill in Barcelona. Climb up the hill. We get to where you go into the park. Presley's already like, F this sucks. I hate you. Go home.
Good start.
So we get there and they're like, oh, we're sorry, it's sold out for today. I was like, it's a park. How is it sold out for the day? And they're like, sold out. Sorry. And he's like, and then I look over and there's stairs straight up. And he's like, but there's good views from there. So you know what I do?
You hauled them up the stairs.
Start climbing those stairs. At one point, Presley, mom, my calves hurt. I'm like, you're 10, I'm 45, you're fine. Let's go.
Yeah, and you are an athlete on purpose. You could do this.
I'm like, I haven't worked out in a month. Come on, let's go. We get to the very top, and I'm looking out, and I'm looking for this cool gingerbread looking park stuff, and it's a great view of the city. You couldn't see the park, it was just trees. So Presley's like, this is a terrible idea. And I'm like, oh god. And then Colton had to go to the hospital for an ear infection. So that was fun. It's a great day.
Well, it wouldn't be a family vacation if somebody didn't end up in emergency at least one time for something. So you checked all the bingo card of traveling with your kids. You left shit behind. Somebody went to emerge,
Years.
whatever. Yeah, you have to miss a connection. And this goes back to our long history of being excellent dog parents, realized on our last night on our way home that we left the dog food in our hotel room in the place before. So we were like, shit. And it's not a big deal that we lost the dog food because you can obviously buy new dog food. But the container that the dog food goes in, like we have this big tub that the dog food travels in, that we have had since we had our other dogs. And so it was more of like we had a little bit of like loss associated with losing this dog food bucket. I was like, oh, so it's somewhere in a Holiday Inn. I can't remember where, St. George, Utah. We're like, fuck. Oh, well, what are you going to do? So I got on Amazon. And of course, because I live in Southern California, it beat us home. It was here before we were, our replacement dog food.
God bless Amazon. Okay. I will talk.
And hey,
go ahead.
And I'm going to stitch in our new music. So everybody who's listening, enjoy the intro music and the outro music that we had put together. Listen for the little funny cues. I hope you like it. We're pretty happy with it. That's awesome. I hope you have a good time at work.
I will have a great I always have fun.
Enjoy some good food and get a nap in because I'm sure your body is like, please lie down. Please lie down, Christy. Yes. And then check out armchair expert Mary Claire Haver. She was awesome. She will get you all straightened up and then you'll be like me, popping an extra progesterone pill, magnesium before you sleep and wearing a weighted vest on a walk because you're like, I got to get my shit together.